it's Danny Griffin with another Monday Mojo. This week's quote: concentration and mental toughness are the margins of victory. Bill Russell, 5-time NBA MVP, 12-time NBA All-Star, and 11-time NBA champion with my Boston Celtics. This week I watched a couple of shows about survival. The first is called Dual Survival, and it's about two tough guys that are purposely cast into survival situations. They both have very different styles. The first is a former military trained guy, and the second is a real earthy, crunchy, barefooted hippie survivalist. In this episode, they simulate a plane crash where they both presumably would have parachuted to the floor of the Arizona desert, 8 miles apart from each other. Now, the first point of importance is that survival, according to both of them, is much more likely if they can find each other and work together rather than alone. The next highlight is how the hippie moves towards a water source. He clearly leaves obvious clues as to his trail so that his partner can easily track it. As I sat in the comfort of my bed, I marveled at how they both used some very basic and simple principles to make it through the freezing temperatures of the desert night. The hippie was even more comfortable as his understanding of the desert was really simple and straightforward. As a matter of fact, he fashioned a cutting tool out of stone and then whittled a branch into a perfect shape for making fire. He then bored a hole into a flatter piece of wood for stability and rested it all on top of a fluffy piece of bark. In an instant, this guy had a tiny wooden ember that he fanned into a full-fledged campfire. Now, the military guy was not as successful with the fire part, but used his parachute to create this sort of wind and cold barrier to keep warm for the night. Once reunited, they even used the rays of sun to purify bacteria-laden water that they trapped in a plastic bag to keep hydrated as they made their way to safety. Stuck in that mode, I made my way to the next show called 2 Weeks in Hell. Simply put, it's the story of Green Beret training for the U.S. Army, need I say more. Immediately, I saw many similarities between the shows, not the least of which was teamwork. You see, the candidates were broken into 4 smaller groups and required to complete some incredibly difficult tasks. At one point, they were given 4 steel poles, 4 wheels, some strapping, and a 400-pound barrel of toxic liquid, all of which was to be transported over 6 miles of really tough terrain. The teams that spent some time working on their plan before beginning were much better off. Their makeshift vehicles were able to withstand the journey, which put less stress on the candidates. Now, the team that came completely undone finished the course almost 6 hours behind. As tough as that may sound, the candidates were then forced to march for 20 miles into the pitch dark night. What's the message in all this stuff? Mental toughness combined with teamwork can overcome almost anything. There was no rocket science needed in these events, just plain old-fashioned Yankee ingenuity. Like the hippie had stated as he lit the fire, just like they did 10 billion years ago. These days, however, it's just too easy to pull over to the side of the road and quit. After all, someone will be right along to pick us up, right? Well, if you took that path in either of these shows, you'd be dead. And yes, literally. If you weren't tough enough and willing enough to push yourself to the next level of your ability, then it was plain and simply over. As I sat back and contemplated what I just witnessed, I actually wondered to myself if I've ever even pushed myself remotely close to being my best. Maybe this is just something we should all give a little bit more thought to. Hey, this is Danny Griffin with another Monday Mojo brought to you by freethinkingtools.com, reminding you to think and thrive. We'll see you next time.